This and the world will bend for you. Think in terms of definiteness of purpose, and the world will step aside for you. Hold a burning desire backed by unwavering faith, and obstacles become stepping stones. Persist even when the world says no. Your mind is the master key. Surround your thoughts with positive expectancy, and life will mirror your belief. What you think, you become. Think powerfully, and the world must obey. 1. Clarity of purpose creates unstoppable momentum. 2. Faith-backed desire transforms thought into reality. 3. Persistence rewrites the laws of resistance. 4. Your dominant thoughts shape your external world. 5. Autosuggestion programs your mind for success. 1. When you decide with absolute certainty what you want out of life and lock your focus onto it like a guided missile, something remarkable begins to happen. The world, bit by bit, starts to shift in your favor, not because the world changes, but because you do. Clarity of purpose isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about knowing it so well, so deeply, so vividly that it becomes a part of you, fused into your identity, driving every choice you make and every action you take. Most people wander through life hoping something will click, waiting for success to stumble upon them like a lucky coin in the street. But success doesn't happen to wanderers. It happens to those with direction, those who have drawn a mental line in the sand and said, "This is what I'm going after, and nothing will pull me off course." When you have clarity of purpose, you begin to walk with confidence that others can feel, a confidence that opens doors, attracts the right people, and invites the right opportunities, often in ways that feel like coincidence, but are nothing less than the universe responding to your inner certainty. Think about it. No one follows the unsure, the hesitant, the ones who say maybe, but people follow decisiveness. The world follows decisiveness. Clarity strips away confusion. It silences the inner voices that whisper doubt and delay. It replaces them with a fire that won't let you sleep, a vision that you carry with you even in your dreams. And that vision begins to act like a magnet, pulling you forward, drawing people, resources, and energy into your life that you never noticed before because your focus was scattered. But now you're tuned in, you're locked on, and that clarity becomes your compass, your map, your fuel. Every setback becomes just another hill on the way to your mountain. You stop asking if and start asking how. You stop waiting and start moving. You stop wondering and start deciding. And as you do, the fog that used to cloud your mind lifts, and you see more clearly where to step, who to trust, and what to ignore. You no longer waste time on distractions that used to steal your energy because your purpose now acts like a filter. If it doesn't serve the goal, it doesn't get your attention. That's power. That's control. That's what it means to think with clarity of purpose. And here's the beauty of it. It's not about being perfect or having every detail figured out. It's about deciding, really deciding, what you're willing to dedicate yourself to. When that decision is made, not just on paper, but deep in your gut, the world will test you, yes, but eventually it will yield. It has to. Because the person with clarity of purpose won't be moved. The storms of life might blow, people might doubt you, and even you might have days where you feel shaken, but you return to that purpose like a lighthouse guiding a ship through dark waves, and every time you do, you strengthen it. You reinforce the belief that this is your path, your mission, your destiny, and people will begin to feel that energy radiating from you. They won't know why, but they'll trust you. They'll want to work with you, help you, be around you. That's the hidden force behind every leader, every pioneer, every person who's ever bent the world to their will. They weren't lucky, they were focused. They didn't wish, they decided. They didn't scatter their efforts across 1,000 dreams. They picked one and burned for it. So if you want the world to bend for you, don't start with what's out there. Start with what's in here. Your mind, your will, your clarity, define it, refine it, obsess over it, let it fuel you, let it drive you. Let it become your standard for every thought, every habit, every day, because once you're clear, truly clear, the world doesn't stand a chance. It will bend, it must too. When you take a desire, a real, deep, burning desire, and back it with absolute faith, you create a force that's unstoppable, a power that bends reality to match your inner picture, because desire alone is just wishful thinking until it's soaked in belief, and belief without desire is directionless. Energy, but when the two combine, when your want is so strong, it keeps you up at night, and your faith is so unshakable that no failure, no rejection, no delay can shake it loose. That's when transformation begins. That's when the invisible forces of life start rearranging themselves in your favor. Because everything starts in the mind, and the mind becomes unstoppable when it's filled with a vision so alive, so vivid, that you can see it even with your eyes closed, feel it even when the world says it's impossible, taste it before it becomes real. This is the moment when thought turns into power, when that which only lived in your imagination begins to take shape, because you're no longer hoping, you're knowing, and that knowing creates movement, it creates energy, it attracts resources and people and situations like a magnet tuned to your frequency, and the crazy part is, most people never reach this level of thinking because they let their past speak louder than their purpose, they let fear dilute their desire, they let doubt chip away at their faith until what started as a dream becomes just another regret. But not you, not if you decide right now that what you want is not just a wish but a decision, a command, a life, defining truth that you will live and breathe until it becomes reality. And to do that, you've got to shut out the noise, you've got to silence the voices, inner and outer, that tell you to play it safe, to think smaller, to wait for the right time. Because the right time is when you believe, the right moment is when you decide that no matter what happens, you will hold that desire in your heart and carry that faith in your soul like a torch in the dark, lighting your path even when the road disappears beneath your feet, because the truth is, faith sees what the eyes cannot, it hears what the world ignores, and it moves mountains not because they're light, but because belief gives you strength you never knew you had. And when you believe with every cell in your body, your actions begin to match your vision, your confidence grows, your energy changes, and people notice, opportunities appear, and what once seemed far away starts coming toward you faster than you ever expected. And here's the secret. They didn't appear out of nowhere. They were always there, waiting for your mind to tune in, waiting for your inner world to align with them. And once that alignment happens, once desire and faith become your foundation, your life begins to shift, sometimes slowly, sometimes in waves, but always in the direction of your dominant thoughts, because life mirrors belief, not wishes, and that's why it's not enough to say you want something. You've got to feel it, breathe it, believe it like it's already yours, and then act from that place of certainty, not with desperation but with confidence, with a calm, unshakable certainty that says, I already know how this ends. And every time fear creeps in or doubt knocks at your door, you go back to that desire, you feed it with vision, with imagination, with a kind of emotional intensity that makes it real in your mind before it ever becomes real in your hands, because the mind doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's real. It just responds, and when it responds to that burning desire backed by faith, it gives you ideas, insights, courage, and stamina you didn't think you had. It pushes you to act when others hesitate. It gives you the edge, and before long, you're doing things that once felt impossible. You're moving through setbacks like they were detours instead of dead ends, because your belief is bigger than your fear, your desire is stronger than your excuses, and your faith is deeper than your doubts. And that's the kind of mind that changes things, that creates results, that inspires others and leaves a mark on the world, because it's not about talent or timing or luck, it's about belief. Belief so strong it becomes your identity. Belief so deep it changes how you show up, how you speak, how you carry yourself, and once the world sees that, it responds. It adapts, it bends, not because it favors you, but because it can't ignore you, and that's the truth of life. When you combine a burning desire with unshakable faith, you don't chase success, you attract it. You don't hope for change, you create it, and everything starts moving in your direction, not by force but by flow, because your inner world is so powerful, so certain, so alive, that the outer world has no choice but to follow. 3. Persistence is the silent force that separates those who merely wish from those who ultimately win. The steady, unyielding drive that keeps a person moving forward long after excitement has faded, after doors have slammed shut, and after failure has whispered, "Give up." Because the truth is, life does not hand out success to the most talented, the smartest, or the luckiest. It rewards those who refuse to quit, those who decide in their hearts that no matter how long it takes, no matter how many times they fall, they will rise again, sharpen their resolve, and try once more, because every master was once a beginner. Every success story was once a chapter filled with struggle, and every great accomplishment is built on a foundation of perseverance in the face of resistance. And if you look around, you'll see that most people fold the moment things get hard. They stop at the first no, retreat at the first failure, and give up the moment progress slows, but not the persistent, not the ones who have made up their minds that quitting is not an option, who treat every obstacle not as a signal to stop, but as a test of how much they want it. And here's the secret the world won't tell you: resistance is not there to stop you, it's there to shape you, to reveal to you who you really are, to strengthen your will, to sharpen your focus, and to toughen your spirit, because every time you push through difficulty, you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the next level of your journey. And that's why persistence is power. It's the daily decision to keep going when motivation is gone, when progress feels invisible, and when your results don't yet match your efforts. And still, you show up, you dig deep, you press forward, even when no one's watching, even when no one's clapping, even when it feels like the world has forgotten you, because you haven't forgotten your goal, and you know deep down that persistence always pays off. Not instantly, but eventually, not with ease, but with certainty, because the law of averages guarantees that if you keep swinging, you'll eventually hit. If you keep knocking, the door will open, and if you keep walking, you'll arrive. And it doesn't matter how slow you go, how many setbacks you face, or how long it takes. What matters is that you don't stop, you don't give up, and you don't let discouragement turn into defeat, because setbacks aren't the end. They're just feedback, they're lessons in disguise, and if you study them, learn from them, and adapt, they'll become stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. And yes, there will be moments when you feel tired, broken, overwhelmed, and ready to walk away. But those are the exact moments when persistence must kick in, when you've got to reach into your soul and remind yourself why you started, what's at stake, and who you're doing this for. And if your why is strong enough, your perseverance will be unstoppable, because those who persist always find a way. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they don't wait for permission, and they don't let failure define them. Instead, they let it refine them. And if you keep pressing on day by day, inch by inch, eventually you'll look back and realize that all the pain, all the waiting, all the uncertainty, it was shaping you, building you, preparing you for a level of success that only persistence could unlock. Because anyone can be excited at the beginning, when the dream is fresh and the fire is new, but very few stay committed through the long middle, the stretch where nothing seems to happen, where it's all effort with little reward, where progress is slow and invisible. But that's exactly where persistence matters most: in the grind, in the silence, in the repetition of daily action. without applause, because persistence is not glamorous, it's gritty, it's dirty, it's the side of success no one talks about, the part where your character is forged, your endurance is tested, and your strength is multiplied, and if you can survive that, if you can push through when everything in you says stop, then success becomes inevitable, not because it's easy, but because you've earned it through relentless effort, through quiet sacrifice, through unwavering commitment, and every time you keep going, you're not just building your dream, you're becoming the kind of person who can handle it, sustain it, and expand it. And that's the beauty of persistence. It changes you, molds you, transforms you into a person of depth, of grit, of unstoppable drive, and the more you persist, the more powerful you become, not just in action but in identity, because now you know who you are, someone who doesn't quit, someone who keeps showing up, someone who finishes what they start, and that identity will serve you not just in one goal, but in every challenge you ever face, because persistence isn't just a tool, it's a mindset, a way of life, a commitment to keep going no matter what. And if you embrace it fully, if you make it part of who you are, then no obstacle can stop you, no failure can define you, and no delay can deny you, because the road to success may be long, it may be steep, and it may test everything inside you, but it always, always yields to those who refuse to give up. 4. Your dominant thoughts are not just private whispers in your head. They are the architects of your reality, the quiet builders shaping everything you experience, attract, and become, because the mind is not some passive observer of the world around you. It is the engine that drives it, molds it, and colors it with the shades of whatever ideas you let live there the longest. And whether you're aware of it or not, your outer world is simply a mirror reflecting your inner dialogue, your most persistent beliefs, and your most repeated thoughts, which means if you're constantly thinking in terms of lack, fear, doubt, or limitation, then life will hand you more reasons to feel stuck, afraid, and incapable. But if your thoughts lean toward abundance, confidence, growth, and power, then the universe begins to reflect those truths back to you in people, circumstances, and opportunities that match that mental frequency, because like attracts like, not by magic, but by mental alignment, by the law that whatever you impress upon your subconscious mind will eventually express itself in the form of your habits, your speech, your emotions, and your results. And that's why nothing is more important than guarding your thoughts, feeding your mind with what you want to manifest, and disciplining yourself to think only of what you desire, never what you fear, because what you dwell on becomes what you draw in, and most people don't realize how powerful this is. They spend their days thinking about problems, obstacles, betrayals, setbacks, and then wonder why life feels heavy, painful, and full of resistance. But the answer is in the repetition, in the thought loops they allow to play day after day, because thoughts are seeds, and what you plant consistently will always grow. And if you're sowing weeds of worry, don't expect flowers of peace. If you're entertaining thoughts of failure, don't expect a life of triumph, because the mind is obedient. It becomes whatever you train it to become, and this training begins with intention, with a decision to take full responsibility for what you let in, what you focus on, and what you allow to grow. And if you can master your thoughts, you can master your outcomes, not all at once, but steadily, consistently, in a way that compounds over time, because dominant thoughts aren't just casual ideas. They're the ones you return to in quiet moments, the ones that echo in your self-talk, the ones that define how you interpret the world. So if your dominant thought is "I'm not enough," or "I always lose," or "nothing ever works out for me," then every situation, no matter how neutral, will be filtered through that lens and prove you right, because the subconscious mind has one mission: to make you right based on what you believe most. And that's why awareness is your greatest ally, because the moment you realize you've been thinking in a way that doesn't serve you, you can interrupt that pattern, insert a better one, and begin the process of reconditioning your mind for success, for joy, for abundance, for strength. And it begins small. with a shift in language, a shift in focus, a refusal to entertain negative images of yourself or your future, and a commitment to replace them with thoughts that empower, energize, and elevate, because over time, those become the new dominant thoughts. And as they take hold, you begin to notice changes not only in your mindset, but in your behavior, in your reactions, in the quality of people you attract, in the goals you feel brave enough to pursue, because everything changes when you change the way you think, and that's not just some motivational slogan. It's a scientific, psychological, and spiritual fact that whatever you repeat to yourself becomes your truth, and your truth becomes your life. So why not choose thoughts that align with the life you actually want? Thoughts like, I am capable, I deserve good things, I am resilient, I am valuable, and I am the kind of person who turns setbacks into comebacks. Because the more you affirm these ideas, the more your subconscious begins to build a world around them, guiding your decisions, fueling your confidence, and pushing you toward environments and people that reinforce that truth. And yes, it takes discipline, especially at the start, because the old thoughts will try to reclaim their place. They'll whisper doubts. They'll remind you of past mistakes. They'll pull you back into the mental fog, but you don't have to follow them. You can pause, breathe, and choose a better thought, a more empowering belief, and over time, you begin to live from that new space, from that elevated mental home, and it becomes easier, more automatic, more natural, until your dominant thoughts are no longer working against you but working for you, turning your mind into a powerful tool instead of a battlefield. And when that happens, the shift becomes visible. People notice the change in your energy, your results begin to climb, your peace begins to stabilize, and life stops feeling like an uphill battle because your mind has stopped resisting your own desires, and now it's assisting you, accelerating you, opening doors where you once saw walls, and lifting you into the kind of life you used to only imagine, because that's the secret. If you want to change your world, you must first change your mind, and that change begins with the thoughts you choose to entertain, to repeat, to nurture. So choose wisely, because what you think, you become. And what you become, you attract. 5. The people you surround yourself with will either sharpen your vision or blur it. They'll either lift you up or weigh you down, and that's not just a poetic idea. It's a truth that plays out every single day in your energy, your focus, your belief system, and ultimately your destiny, because no matter how strong-willed you think you are, the influence of those closest to you seeps into your thoughts, your habits, your values, and your standards. And if you're constantly around negativity, laziness, doubt, gossip, or small-minded thinking, then even the strongest dreamers eventually start to shrink to second guess, to adjust their ambition to match the environment instead of rising above it. And that's why one of the most powerful decisions you'll ever make is who you allow into your mental space, because relationships aren't neutral. They either feed your growth or feed your fears. And if you want to rise, you need people around you who challenge you, who believe in your potential even when you don't, who speak life into your ideas instead of draining them with skepticism, who are not intimidated by your growth but inspired by it, who clap when you win and hold you accountable when you slack. And sadly, most people never evaluate their circle. They stick with whoever is familiar, even if that familiarity is toxic, draining, or damaging, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, unmotivated, or constantly pulled back into old habits. But it's not a mystery. It's the power of proximity, because we are all influenced by the company we keep, whether we notice it or not, and that's why it's so important to be intentional about your environment, to ask yourself regularly, who do I spend most of my time with? What are they talking about? What are they focused on? How do I feel after being around them? And are they helping me become the version of myself I say I want to be? Or are they keeping me stuck in the version I'm trying to outgrow? Because energy is contagious, and if you're surrounded by people who are always complaining, always doubting, always playing small, then you'll either absorb that mindset or constantly exhaust yourself trying to resist it. But there's another path. A path where you actively seek out people who inspire you, who push you to be better, who operate at a higher standard, not out of arrogance but out of purpose, and being around them wakes something up in you. It raises your standards, expands your vision, and reminds you that greatness is possible, not in theory but in practice, and sometimes those people won't be in your immediate circle yet. So you may have to find them in books, in mentors, in podcasts, in online communities, whatever it takes to shift your mental environment until your physical environment catches up, because the people you listen to most shape the way you think, and the way you think shapes everything. And yes, sometimes this means distancing yourself from people you love, not because you don't care about them, but because you care enough about your future to protect your focus, your energy, and your peace, and that's not selfish. It's necessary, because if you lose yourself trying to please everyone else, you won't have anything left to give anyone. And let's be honest, some people only support you as long as you stay the same, as long as your growth doesn't highlight their complacency. But the moment you start evolving, they get uncomfortable, they try to pull you back, and if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking to keep the peace, and in doing so, you'll betray your potential. But you weren't born to shrink. You were born to expand, to evolve, to stretch into the highest version of yourself, and that requires choosing relationships that water your spirit, not ones that poison your ambition. And yes, it's hard to let go, it's hard to walk away, it's hard to change your circle, but what's harder is staying stuck in an environment that suffocates your growth and keeps you trapped in patterns that no longer serve you. Because here's the truth. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they've known you a long time, and you're not obligated to keep anyone in your life who makes you doubt your worth, question your dreams, or settle for less than you know you deserve. And the moment you start prioritizing your energy, your vision, and your purpose, the right people start to appear. The ones who see your light and don't try to dim it, who celebrate your wins without competition, who push you to level up, not because they're trying to change you, but because they see who you really are and won't let you forget it. And when you build a circle like that, everything changes. Your mindset shifts, your goals expand, your confidence grows, and your results begin to align with the version of you that's been waiting to emerge, because now you're no longer fighting against the tide of doubt, fear, and mediocrity. You're flowing with support, encouragement, and aligned energy, and that momentum is priceless. So take a hard look at your environment, not with judgment, but with honesty, and ask yourself, is this circle growing me or draining me? Are these conversations building me up or breaking me down? And am I surrounded by people who make excuses or people who make moves? Because life is too short to waste your energy trying to convince people of your value, sir. Surround yourself with those who already see it, who remind you of it, and who call it out of you even when you forget, because your future is too important, your dreams are too sacred, and your peace is too valuable to leave in the hands of the wrong crowd. So choose wisely, elevate boldly, and remember, when you surround yourself with the right people, you don't just rise, you soar.